this video, I will give a detailed explanation about who will win and how in a possible fight between Thor and the Celestials. In the Thor 5 video I prepared before, I mentioned that there will be a fight between the gods and the Celestials. 2 years ago, I said that Thor will win in a possible fight between Thor and the Eternals. However, the real question was this: how will the gods fight against the celestial race, since they are so old and so powerful? So if we assume that the most powerful god is Zeus, we see that even Zeus is exhausted. Can all these gods defeat Arishem even if they combine all their powers? This is really a big debate. Moreover, all these gods will fight not only the Celestials, but also the Eternals race. So, how can the gods and Thor bring down a celestial being? If you are curious about these details, you can continue watching. But, just before we start the video, if you are new to the channel and don't want to miss the content, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. According to the comics, Thor was the only one who had the power to bring down celestial beings. So, I'm talking about the gods who are at least on the side of good and fight celestial beings. Otherwise, we have talked many times that an evil being like Null can kill a celestial being on his own. However, Thor, as a character on the side of humans and gods, could kill celestial beings on his own. So how did Thor do this? The weapons Thor used, namely both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, could completely shatter the armors of celestial beings. In fact, celestial beings are so big that they did not notice Thor and did not see him as a threat. According to the comics, Exitar, the largest celestial, was killed by Thor. Exitar, who was at least 10 times bigger and stronger than other celestial beings in the comics, decided to destroy the world. After Tiamut was killed, the sign he made with his hand showed that the world was decided to be destroyed. In Roman Colosseums, when emperors decided to kill people fighting in the field, they made their hands like this, and they claimed that the gods told them to do this. In fact, Arishem and other celestial beings ending a civilization was one of the decisions they made. Thor, thanks to the power of Mjolnir, shattered the armor of this giant celestial being and exposed him to the most intense lightning of all time with his own power. As a result, he completely finished the celestial being. In another encounter, he used another weapon instead of Mjolnir. When this weapon was strengthened by an Asgardian spell made by Dr. Doom, it cut the celestial being's armor and managed to kill him. In other words, Thor cannot kill a celestial being with his own raw power. However, he was a character who could pass through celestial beings thanks to his magical and powerful weapons. And Thor was not the only one who could do this. Odin also reached the size of a celestial being when he wore the destroyer armor, and Odin severed the arm of a celestial being with his magical sword made of Uru metal. In other words, Odin was strong enough to challenge more than one celestial being at the same time. As a result, when Thor becomes the ruler of Omnipotent City, the chances of the gods winning will increase greatly. Another detail that shows this is that Thor in his awakened form is All-Father. When Thor combined Zeus's lightning and his own powers, he managed to overpower a group of mischievous people. If he did the same to other gods, their weapons could also have the power to cut through the armor of a celestial being. So far, I have explained to you what could happen if Thor and Celestial physically met. However, another feature of All-Father Thor was that he could absorb the cosmic powers of the being he was facing. In the comics, All-Father Thor drained all the cosmic energy inside Galactus and transformed himself into Herald of None Thor. This energy did not stay inside Thor for a long time, but it reached a power that would allow him to destroy Black Winter. When we look at the MCU, Thor is a character who can transfer his own powers as well as steal the cosmic powers of the being he is in front of. Because the All-Father powers, namely the Odin Force, are something like this. At the same time, if Agatha Harkness can steal the powers of a celestial being and turn into a celestial being, Thor can do the same. If you watched the trailer for What If Season 3, Agatha Harkness will steal the powers of Arishem or Tiamut and turn into a celestial being. If you watched the movie Eternals, the Eternals came together, combined their powers and took Tiamut's powers and killed him. In other words, he used the cosmic energy that the Celestial had to kill him. With the remaining cosmic energy, they turned Sprite into an ordinary person. In other words, if the Celestials were to use cosmic energy against Thor, Thor would absorb this energy thanks to the Mjolnir or Stormbreaker in his hand and use it against them, just like he had previously absorbed the power of the 6 Infinity Stones and used it against Thanos. Therefore, the possibility of celestial beings defeating Thor in either a physical competition or a cosmic power struggle is normally impossible. In fact, the greatest element that strengthens Thor's ability to absorb another being's energy is the weapons he uses. Both Mjolnir and the Stormbreaker contain souls made of pure energy. These weapons have their own consciousness and have the power to kill celestial beings. Yes, celestial beings are still very powerful. But in Thor's 5th movie, Thor is a character who needs to be stronger than all of them. In other words, creating a black hole, creating worlds, stars, and even galaxies cannot protect celestial beings from such power. Celestials are the oldest alien race in the universe. In other words, they are older than Null, because they were created by the first multiverse cycle. However, the fact that celestials are older does not mean that they are more powerful than the beings created after them. In fact, if celestials and Thor were to clash, this fight would not take place on Earth. Since this will be a battle in space, Thor must have one of his 2 weapons in his hand. In addition, the Uru metal was much stronger and more durable than adamantium after it was sanctified. In other words, the armors of celestial beings would be of little use against this durable metal. We also talked about the fact that there are organisms similar to living life inside celestial beings. For example, brain fluid and marrow tissue were harvested from nowhere, which we saw in the Guardians of the Galaxy series. In other words, there are living organisms inside celestial beings. They will be defenseless and die when their armor is broken, or their energy is drained to the bottom. Now, the video may seem a bit biased. After all, I talked about how celestials can be killed throughout the video. However, when the general audience is considered, since celestial beings are shown to be much superior, the main question was how to kill them. Of course, Thor or other gods can also be killed in some way. However, killing gods is not as easy as it seems. Zeus was still alive and not dead, even though a thunderbolt passed through him. So even cutting off his head to kill Zeus might not work, because the astral forms of the gods can also be extremely powerful. Characters like Thor or Odin don't die even when they die. Souls go to the astral plane and go to Valhalla. Even though Odin died, his soul was still able to communicate with Thor. This means that gods are actually harder to kill than the celestials. When celestial beings are killed, their souls are met by Fulcrum and hang out in this bar. Since the celestials are assigned by Fulcrum, if Fulcrum revives them, they have a chance to return. However, if the celestials deviate from Fulcrum's path, that is, if they go against him and become corrupt, then they have no chance of returning. For example, Ego deviated from Fulcrum's path and tried to conquer the entire galaxy on his own. Therefore, when Ego died, he had no chance of returning, because he was corrupt and betrayed his own purpose of creation. In this case, if Arishem and the Celestials with him also become corrupt and betray their own cause, they will have no chance of returning. In any case, there will not be dozens of Celestials on Earth, my friends. The Celestials we will see in the movie and whose names we know will be Arishem, Hargan, Nezar, and Jemiah. Apart from these, it is possible that the purple Celestial we see here and the small Celestials staying in Omnipotent City will also be in the movie. If thousands of celestial beings attacked, there wouldn't even be a galaxy left. However, since celestial beings cannot betray their purpose of creation, they will not cause such destruction. They will only have problems with the gods and maybe the world. They will decide to destroy the world, because a celestial being was sacrificed for the salvation of life on Earth. In return, the judge Arishem will observe what the world will do, and Arishem will see that people have entered into a power struggle, become corrupt, and even start killing each other. As a result, Arishem will decide to destroy the world, and the gods will come together and protect the world. Instead of making the second movie of the Eternals, they plan to use the fifth movie of Thor to stop Arishem and the Eternals. These are already stories in the comics. All the MCU will do is connect the story, write the script, and handle the visual effects. At the end of the story, Thor is powerful enough to take down a single celestial being, and we know that the gods will ultimately win the war. Well, friends, I hope you like the content I have prepared. If there are any other videos you would like to see, don't forget to write them in the comments. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye.